Hello and welcome to the show today. I am so excited to be here. This is the Fear Free Human Show. And what we talk about here is the internal guidance system. And I do live coaching as well as give you little tips and tricks and tidbits along the way as to how your internal guidance system works. A lot of times people think that the internal guidance system is intuition. This is not the truth. This is not your intuition. It works wonderfully with intuition, but it's a completely separate system. See, every single person was born with an internal guidance system. And out of the 40,000 plus people that I've worked with, I can tell you it works the same in every single person. In every person, it gives sensations in the center of their body, in the throat, which feels like a lump in the throat or a disc, a tightness, the chest, where it feels like anxiety, stress, overwhelm, that feeling, and then the solar plex area where it kind of feels like a rock or a lump or a tightness in the solar plex. And each of these areas have a different meaning. This is when you're undermining your own power. I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. They don't want me. Those kinds of thoughts. This is when you're having planning, strategic thoughts, past, present, and future. This is where your truth meter shows up about what you're thinking. And then the solar plex is when you have a belief system that you've inherited from somewhere that is not true for you. Now, the thing to know about this is that it is attached to something really, really powerful. It has information that your mind does not have. So you'll close on something, okay? And you won't have any reason to understand why those thoughts are not true or not going to happen necessarily. And then later down the road, it'll reveal itself and you'll be like, oh my gosh, how did my IGS, internal guidance system, IGS for short, how did my IGS know that? How did it know that I shouldn't book this event or shouldn't take this trip, right? We had one person who, for example, she was going to a conference in Mexico and she spent a whole bunch of time researching flights. She found the flight she wanted. She booked the flight. And then it turned out she got no confirmation email. And it appears that she actually did the booking didn't go through. It was late at night and she decided to just go to bed and do it in the morning. And she got up in the morning. She got a deep closing, a tight feeling in the body when she went to purchase the ticket. So she didn't purchase. This is what happens when you study with me is you make so many less mistakes and your life works so much better. So week after week, she was coming to coaching calls like these ones that we're having here, right? And she was asking me, Zen, I'm still closed, but I don't have a flight. And so this is what'll happen. Immediately, our mind wants to figure out what's going on. So she's like, well, maybe I shouldn't go close. This is where you're asking questions. You should not ask questions of your IGS. I do not teach people to ask questions because it doesn't work. And I'm going to explain the reason why right now. So week after week, she's coming. This is a nail biting moment because it got to the place where it was like a couple of weeks, before her trip, and she still didn't have a flight, and flights had gone up substantially. She'd already booked her hotel. The conference was something she needed to go to, and she was open with her internal guidance system, feeling light, open, and wise in the center of her body about going to the conference. So she wasn't supposed to cancel the conference, and yet apparently she had no plane ticket. Then all of a sudden she comes on the coaching call and says, you'll never believe this, but my husband came and asked me what a charge was on our credit card statement, and it was the flight. She had actually booked the flight, but she had not gotten the confirmation email, so she thought she hadn't. Now, you all know, unless you're on something like Southwest or you get insurance, when you book 2 flights, they don't give you your money back and they don't transfer those credits. But her IGS knew. It is attached to a deeper wisdom, and I believe, and I have just truly have believed that it's attached to our life's blueprint, and it's helping us navigate and make choices to stay on our life's purpose. Now, your intuition is not the same thing. I have claircognizant, and I'm also empathic. These are 2 intuitive gifts. Now, and when I talk to another empath, somebody else who has the gift of empathy, empathic, where they feel other people's emotions, it's different for every person. Okay, how we receive the information, how it shows up when we receive the information. Some people receive it with people. Some people see it on like more of a global scale with other, like on a oneness global scale where when right before something's happened, they feel it. Some people will see pictures empathically. Others will feel the actual other person's emotions. Other can feel the presence in the room. Your intuitive gift is different in every person. I cannot go in and train the exact same thing and have the exact same results like I can with the internal guidance system. And the internal guidance system is always responding to your mind or leading you through a pulling. We call it flow. There's a pulling that once you've gotten to a place where you've cleared out your closings, you begin to be able to feel the next right thing that's to do, the next right phone call, the next right thing to say in a conversation or in a meeting. This becomes really innate as a new guidance system, which is why I called it the internal guidance system. It becomes a new guidance system. So please know that, yes, you are accessing some sort of divine wisdom that's attached to you personally, your personal truth, but this is not intuition. Now, you can use your internal guidance system with your intuitive gifts. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, when I'm claircognizant, so ideas drop in and I can actually kind of look at them like as if a prism. I can look at different aspects. People can ask me questions and I can get information. By the way, I don't do readings. That's not my thing. I use the gift in other ways. But the interesting thing is as soon as you get a piece of intuitive information, what happens is your mind begins to create a story around it. It begins to try to connect dots. Let's say you have an inkling to connect two people, Sarah and John, and all of a sudden your mind will jump in and be like, oh, they're both single. Maybe they're supposed to be dating. And it has nothing to do with that. Maybe Sarah needs a bit of information for her business and John has it. Your mind will make up a story. But if the story is not true, you will get a closing. And then you know not to share that part of your story is, when you connect the two of them. You don't go to Sarah and get her hopes up that she's going to end up marrying John. You just simply say, I don't know why you two are supposed to meet, but I get a really deep opening and an intuitive hit that you two need to talk. So it can really make it more clean and elegant and more effective for you if you do have intuitive gifts and which way you use them. So this is a really important tidbit to know, is that intuition and your internal guidance system are two separate things. I also already talked about how your internal guidance system is not your emotions. It's not an emotional guidance system. You cannot trust your emotions to guide you. If you don't know about that, go ahead and go back an episode or two and you'll see it there. All right, we have somebody who is here for coaching. Katrina, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Hi, Katrina. I can't hear you.
Hi.
There she is. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. I can. Thank you for wearing headphones. I love it. How can I help you today? Oh, you froze. Let's give you a second here. There you are.
Really
go ahead. That's good. Let's just go for it.
I heard about it from a friend of mine who loves the program and recommended it to me. And she's been forwarding me the email, so that's been quite interesting. Anyway, I thought that I would take advantage of the live coaching. Something new has cropped up in my life, something surprising the past few months, is that my mum is elderly and I didn't think I would end up being her carer. I never thought that because there were other things in place. I won't get into the details. There were other people in place. So it's a real shock to me now that this is going to happen soonish, within the next year, whatever. And the problem is my mum and I have never liked each other. Like for our whole lives, we've never liked each other, and I've spent my whole life trying to get away from her. So that's kind of like, changed everything for me. And I'm wondering now how I'm going to kind of move forward with that.
Great. This is awesome. I'm so excited for you. So I know that sounds probably horrible because I understand where you're coming from. My dad and I didn't get along for many, many years. In fact, it was awful. Every time I'd be around him, he'd make me cry. I don't even know. I was on my way. And this is how the IGS works. For years, I thought he didn't like me at all. And I couldn't even, I was like, why am I keep going back to this person and being in their life when every time we get in the same room, we fight, or we're uncomfortable, he didn't get me. Right. And then he would say things that hurt my feelings. And it was just really awful. Mm-hmm. And I was driving to see him for Christmas one time. It was about an 8-hour drive. And this is how the internal guidance system works. If you feel tight in the center of your body, or a lump in your throat, or a sick feeling in the solar plex areas, means that what you're thinking is not true or not going to happen. And on the drive up there, I was thinking about my dad and I and how awful it was. And I was holding the thought, he doesn't even like me. Why am I going? And I had this deep closing, deep sense of constriction and sick feeling and tightness and anxiety. That means what I'm thinking isn't true. So what ended up happening is I decided to try to figure out what is true. So then what you do is you play with your thinking, and we're going to do this in a minute together. But then you play with your thinking and you move through different thoughts until you find the one that opens you. And this is not positive or negative thinking. This is truth. And so it took me a while because I have a lot of evidence that my dad is a jerk and that he doesn't like me and we've never gotten along and it's been awful for years. And so one thought that opened me was he gets along with my brother. And I felt a slight release of the tension because that's a more true thought. And then I held the thought, I thought, well, I'm a girl, it got open more. And then it hit me. My dad doesn't know how to be a dad to a girl. Mm-hmm. And I had a big release and an opening. And so all those years where he was trying to treat me like a boy and punch me in the arm and doing all these different things, wasn't working for me. He couldn't handle my emotions. He didn't know what to do. And then he finally got so frustrated that he quit trying. So I decided I was going to teach my dad how to be a dad to a girl, and it mended our relationship. It took about 3 years of seeing each other until we finally were playing pool one night, and he was talking about how we'd been such a jerk. And I was like, Dad, we're going to put the bad dad away. And because now we've had a good amount of time of good dad, let's just focus on that. We both cried and it was a great night. The reason why I'm saying this is it's interesting to me that the universe is bringing you, God, whatever you want to call it, is bringing you and your mom together. Possibly so you guys don't die in this state. I don't know. But I do know that one of the ways is that we can look at, through coaching, all the beliefs that you have about your mom. And the ones that are closing and cause you anxiety and upset and frustration and irritation and all of those are all closing, which means there's some way that you're thinking about it. Because if it was true, it would bring you peace, right? Now, tell me a little bit about your mom and what the situation is so that we can kind of like work with the thoughts that you have. What's the biggest issue or the biggest top or the biggest three?
Well, so I'm going to have to, in the future, look after her, and she's probably going to be in my long periods of time in my house. She has caused a lot of upset in my house. She's done things that have been disrupted for my marriage. She plays favorites with my kids, so she's really upset my kids. And of course, all that really upsets me. So whenever she's here, I'm just really stressed all the time because everybody's stressed.
So stress is closing, right? Stress is closing, which means what you're thinking about her isn't true. That doesn't mean she's not a jerk. Don't get me wrong. So to give me one situation so that we can play with one specific, because this works really well in the specifics. So can you give me a situation?
Okay, yeah. She says she doesn't think I'm a good mom. She's always criticizing my parenting. Yeah.
Okay. And so can you give me I know that's specific, but can you get more specific? Like she says this about my daughter, or she believes this about me and my daughter's relationship, or what? Give me like a situation.
Yeah, she thinks that she thinks that my one daughter is a jerk. I like that word that you keep using. She believes that my one daughter is a jerk, and she resents any attention and affection that I give to her.
Okay. And
sorry. Yes.
Is
What?
there someone there? That's okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. And so when you think about that, so is your daughter that way?
No. Well, she is at times actually, yeah, but she's a kid. She's got ADHD.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So let's look at just for a second, right? Did your mother give you advice about that?
No.
So she just criticized her and just said a negative thing about her.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to hold the thought, what my mother is seeing is true. And see if that sense, so hold the thought about, go back to that situation and imagine being there, her having that conversation with you. Now, do you tighten in the center of your body? Okay, so that's a closing. That means what you're thinking isn't true. So we're just going to go for the truth, and then we're going to look at how to handle your mother in that situation. Okay. Because it doesn't mean it's okay for her to criticize your kids.
Mm-hmm.
But what my mother sees about her is true sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold that thought and notice if you feel a little bit of a sense of ease. Does it feel a little less tight?
No, because you know,
Is it,
whether it's true or not, whether the kid is being a jerk or not, that's not the issue. We're the parents and she's the grandparent, and we have to be patient with the
we're going to
kid.
get there. We're going to get there.
So yeah,
If you'll trust me, because I know you haven't done the work with me
no,
yet,
no,
but if you'll trust me, let
okay,
me get you there. Okay. So your mind is going to want to respond to the
yeah,
thought I'm asking you to hold. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get rid of that tension, because then we're in a direction where we can actually set boundaries with your mom from a place where you're open. But if you aren't physically in an open state, the boundary won't work.
okay,
If you are in an open state where you're not feeling that tension, then I can talk to you about what to say to your mom that will work.
okay,
And we can begin recreating the relationship, getting you your power back.
mm-hmm.
Okay. But in a way, giving you your power back in a way that's not going to hurt anybody in the situation. And you're not going to have to be a jerk in order to
Mm-hmm.
respond to her. Okay. Does that make sense? Right. So here we go. All right. So just hold the thought. What my mom is seeing about her is true. She can be that way
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah,
And just notice if you feel an opening. Does it feel like a little bit of a release when you hold that
okay,
thought? A little
mm-hmm.
softer? Do you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My mom doesn't understand kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not somebody who could manage, who should be managing my children.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold that and see if does that create more of an opening?
Yeah, it feels true. That's the truth. That feels true.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see what we need to do about the situation. I need to let my mom know that I'm not interested in her opinion about my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Notice if you feel it expansion or if you feel it tighten back down.
Well, I think I've been trying to do that for decades.
I
I've
know,
been
but
trying
hold
to
on. There's
create
wait,
boundaries
but
for
you've been doing it
decades.
from, but okay. Here's the difference. If you're coming from a closed place, the person will show up tight and closed, and there's a battle. They can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But if you're coming from an open
Yeah.
place, so let me explain boundaries. Most people think that boundaries are ultimatums. If you do this, I'm going to do that. Okay. And sorry, my little nose. They're not. Boundaries is teaching another person how to care for you better.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. All right. And so the thing is that most people, I'm going to close this off. This thing keeps dinging here. Most people come at it with, they're upset. They want to control somebody else's behavior because it's hurting them, frustrating them, irritating them,
Mm-hmm.
something in that nature. And then they come in and there's a fight. Self-care is, first of all, you got to figure out, you have to be open. You have to feel that release that you felt. What that means is that you got to look and see, because a lot of times people create an ultimatum that's not going to work and it's coming from a closing. So it's not even true. It's not even true. It's like, it's not going to work. So it's like, what do I really need? This is if you were in the program, and we have a whole module on boundaries in the program. What do I really need from my mom in order for this to feel like I'm getting my needs met? Self-care. What do I need to really tell her? So it could look like, it may close you to tell her, don't talk to me ever again about my daughter. It's none of your business. That could close you, right? Stop criticizing my kid. That could close you, right? And you're like, okay, that's not it. And then it comes to telling your mom, when you talk to me about my kids with that tone of voice and in that critical way, it has you become an enemy for me, because my kids are what I'm here to take care of. So if you have something you want to say, it has to be either you don't say it and don't criticize my kids, or you look at how to be helpful, not just derogatory about my children, not just criticize my kids, because it's not helpful for you to say mean things about your grandkids. And if that opens you, it's going to land. Do you see the difference? And then you can put in can you stop criticizing my kids? Is that something that you can actually watch and stop doing? Because you're open, which means she's going to be able to hear this. Truly, it's amazing. Opening begets opening. The whole conversation will be different. Or the conversation that opens you may be, Mom, it really hurts my feelings when you criticize my kids. I don't want this conversation in my house. We try to be supportive. She's a young girl. She's got her own emotions. She's got her own hormones coming in. She's got her own way of being. And we need to work with who she is and teach her how to do that in the world. And you coming in and just belittling her is not something that's helpful in our home. And we don't parent that way, right? So, but you're open. The difference is you're empowered. So can you, and then the process is, can you agree with me to stop saying things that are critical of my kids? Because if not, I don't want you here. Right now, I know she's going to come live with you, so you can practice this before she gets there. You can you can begin setting up these self-care routines with her before she gets there, so that when she comes to the house, you've made a lot of strides in agreements about how you guys are going to be together. You know what I'm saying? So that way you can, and you can do it in a way that's healthy, because the truth of the matter is your mother was probably raised by somebody critical who rode her and hurt her and belittled her, and she doesn't know any different. We pick these patterns up between the ages of 0 and 7. And then we keep reproducing them generationally over and over and over again. I don't know what your grandparents were like. What were her parents like?
Yeah, I don't think she had a good relationship with her father. Yeah, I just feel like it's been going on too long and I'm too tired. And I did my own counseling last year with my own kids. And, everything that they said to me was really, really hard. And I tried really hard to take it on board, not to resist, not to say, no, I don't think it's like that or anything like that. I tried really hard to listen and not react. And I just kind of don't feel like doing it all again.
I understand.
I don't feel like I've got the strength to do it all again. I think that, yeah.
So here's the
So,
difference.
yeah, I'm just quite tired.
And you should be, it sounds like. Truly. So here's the difference, though. Instead of being beat up and having it close you down and have that sick feeling in your stomach and have those words running around in your head that they've said, right? And because of that, you have your own reaction, which has you start breaking intimacy with them because they hurt you. If you can, right? And then you're like, I don't, which sucks because you don't want that.
Unsafe. I feel unsafe to open my mouth. I feel unsafe.
Yep.
I'm constantly, when I'm with her, I'm not safe.
Yeah, I hear you. I do. So you can take those closing thoughts that feel like a hole in your gut, that's like where you're being just sucked, the life's being sucked out of you. That's a closing. And you can work with them privately and rebuild your resilience. Because every time you take that tight feeling and you find the thought and you shift it into an opening feeling, you do feel an expansion of energy and you feel peace. And
So
they
how do
don't
I
come
change
back.
that between the closing and the opening?
That's what the program is for. And it's super affordable and it's 14 days and it comes with coaching and we can move through this very quickly and you can learn how to do it on your own. So when you're actually in a conflict with your mom, you don't have that sucking thing take over. You stop it as it starts. You learn how to move your thoughts and you open back up. That's what I mean about you being empowered. The exhaustion is coming from having to deal with that tightness and not having a place to put it. From that thought, when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and the conversation starts in your head and you can't get away from it and it won't leave you alone, those kinds of things. But I can tell you right now that as you clear out the closings, they will go away because this is what happens. The tight feeling is old programming. It's a way of interpreting it as a situation that's disempowering you. So when you learn to find the opening and it opens back up, that neural pathway that rams at you, it starts to go neurally extinct and you started a new neural pathway. So in a very short period of time, you have cleared out all the stuff thinking that's causing you pain and you are only creating and nurturing thinking that opens you, which is where your authenticity and your truth and your power lies. And you do not have to feel this exhausted anymore. And the interesting thing is people will listen to you when you're open. Even your husband, right? Because one of the things that's awful about, was for me is men don't want to deal with women's issues. Two women fighting, two women bickering, any of that, they're just kind of like, whatever, it's between the two of you. I don't know how your husband is, but that's how my husband is. And that hurts because that's one of your people that you go to like, work things out with and share how much you're bummed about the situation with and all of that. When you do this and you find your openings, your support of your husband in these situations will be a lot stronger, and he'll be able to do it in a way that you'll really appreciate. It's one of the transformations that happens when people begin to use their IGS and clear out all this gunk, and I would encourage you to do that because it's quicker than you think.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, we're going to leave it with one last thing. Okay. So let's look at the situation. Let's even see if your mom's even going to be coming. Okay. So when you hold the thought of your mom coming and it being awful, right? What happens in the center of your body?
Yeah, it's in my stomach.
That's a belief system. That's right here, right in the solar plexus area.
Yeah,
right
my stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a belief system that's not true about how it's going to be. Okay. So just hold the thought for a minute. It is possible for my mom and I to work through this before she gets here. Hold the thought and notice if that lightens up even a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that lightening? Okay. Yeah. That is truth. Now I want you to hold another thought. It's not going to be as hard as my mind is making it sound. I can do it, and I can do it. It can be easy. I'm not a Pollyanna. I'm telling you right now, I'm not just throwing good thoughts at you. I feel your exhaustion and you're tired and you're hurt and you really don't want this to happen in your life. And you also are getting you're understanding that it's coming and you don't know what to do with it. And it's the worst thing ever. And you don't want to spend the last part of your life having to deal with this crap. I hear you. I hear you. I feel for you. The only thing I can do is show you how to do it in a way where she doesn't bother you anymore and it's healed and it can get healed. But when you held that thought, I can do this and it can be easier than I believe. We can actually get along and it doesn't have to be hard. Did this lighten up?
Yeah.
Then that is something to hang on tight to. And the way that you do that is because that feeling will stay there as long as you're having the thoughts about it being awful and you're being too tired and it's going to be too hard and you don't want to do it and this is going to suck. That's going to stick there. It's going to stay. It can't leave. So this is the homework for this coaching session is hold the thought. I can do this. It's not going to exhaust me. I can hold boundaries with my mom. This is going to be easier than I think. I don't know how, but it's going to end up being the best thing that could have happened. Hold that thought for a minute and notice the release. When you do that and that release happens, you've started a new neural pathway.
I get it.
That new neural pathway is what can carry you through. And I really hope you'll come study.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Katerina, beautiful
and
to
I
meet
hope
you.
you're feeling better.
Yes. I had the worst.
I know you weren't feeling well.
I had the worst headache yesterday I woke up with, and now I feel better. I do, thank goodness, but I hate having to cancel. I heard you were here yesterday. Someone emailed me and Ruth did.
Yeah, it's okay. And it's really great that Ruth was there to send me a message and let me know that you weren't feeling well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope I get to see you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
You
All right.
too.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Bye.
Goodbye.
So here's the thing. Our mind goes out and collects a lot of evidence about what it believes. It's just the way it works. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a ton of evidence and facts to back up my closings. I remember when I first started doing technology, I thought I was technically really dumb. I ended up becoming the CEO of a technology company because I was clearing out thought by thought. I'm a high school dropout and I had real bad issues with math. I had real bad issues in the computer class. I did not understand what was going on. And as I was trying to, just get through school, I ended up going to community college and I still was bad. I think I failed algebra 3 times. And I had this idea that I was really bad at math, that I just could never, ever get it. And it turned out that I had a bad teacher. I had a lot of evidence. I had 3 years of failing, getting a D minus or below algebra 2. It was awful. And I had to finish this class in order to get through college because I was a high school dropout. I eventually, after I figured out the IGS and started using it, went back and got my high school diploma through testing out, and then got into community college and started taking a ton of courses. And I got to the place where I could transfer those courses to a 4-year school. And I had this one class left that I had to take to get my AA, and it was algebra 2. I remember coming into the teacher right as the class was starting, and I had an office hours with her. And I told her that I was really frightened closing, that I was never going to be able to succeed in this class, and I was going to fail and not be able to go and accomplish my dream of getting a 4-year degree. I'd always been told I was never going to college in my family. In fact, my dad didn't even bother letting me take the SATs because he's like, "You're not going to college." A dad issue again. Anyways, glad we healed that in my 30s. And the teacher said to me, if you do every single problem in your homework for the whole year, for this whole semester, I promise that you will have a C+ in class, pass this class. I promise that I'll work with you and teach you how to do this. If you just do the homework, you don't even have to have a single problem right. If you just do every piece of your homework. I ended up getting an A- in the class. What would happen in past classes is I would get so frustrated and the teacher was not explaining it to me, and I would miss so many on my homework that I wouldn't go back and study and fix it. But I knew that if I just went back and I did all this homework and allowed her to show me what I was missing, that if I got a C-, it gave me hope. And it turns out that I'm actually really good at math. I just had bad teachers who were frustrated with me because I think differently. I think about math like language, and they were trying to teach me math in a different way. And math is a language. I can tell you right now that there are things in your life that are holding you back from having the best life you could possibly have. And your mind has a lot of evidence. A lot of evidence that maybe it's too late, that you're not going to be able to make it with your retirement, that you're never going to be able to fix your relationship with your kids, that you're never going to be able to be healthy, that you're never going to get to that thing that you've always wanted to do, that you're always going to self-sabotage in a particular way, that addiction is never going to go away, that those feelings of not being good enough or being untrusting or being lonely are always going to be there in your life. But I can tell you, if you're closed, that means what you're thinking is not true, and there is an opening. When you're closed, it means that you have a life's blueprint that your mind is keeping you from being able to enjoy. And that once you find the opening, and it takes questioning the thoughts, the unexamined assumptions that you've never questioned. And that's what the program teaches. It's called Fear-Free Mind Experience. You can go to fearfreemindexperience.com. It's $197. It's a 14-day fast program, short little videos where you just do practice after practice. I call it the Miyagi approach. Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. I get you doing a little thing, and it starts recreating the programming in your mind. You start finding openings, you start clearing out closings, and you are amazed at how much better you feel. You're amazed at what you're able to do with your mind and what you're able to leave behind like that. Stuff that you may have been fighting your whole life starts to drop away. It's amazing. And I'm here to tell you that if you feel a closing, that means that you have an unexamined assumption that's holding you back from having the best life you could possibly have. Those thoughts that were given to you between the ages of 0 and 7, and then often in experiences where you keep failing because of that programming, keep beating your head against the wall and trying to do it the same way and not getting any further. Those thoughts, when they begin to be reprogrammed and shifted, you suddenly can see how the false evidence, and that's what they say about fear, false evidence appearing real. You'll be able to see how that false evidence that your mind's been creating has been holding you back. And when you hit the new opening thought, it's going to feel like coming home. A lot of people say in doing the program, I finally feel like myself again. I didn't know that I'd lost myself. So I'm encouraging you to not believe what your mind is telling you. It's that yield sign principle. I ask people all the time. You've heard it before. What color is a yield sign? And lots of people in the United States, lots of people say yellow, and it's been red and white since 1974. Your mind doesn't have the opportunity or the ability to update itself. It has to come through the body to update itself. So I want to encourage you to come dive in. We have another person here, Allison, who's interested in coaching. Hey, Allison, how you doing? Oops, give me a second. Okay, there you go. Turn you on and off.
Hi, Zen.
There we go.
How?
Hi, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, today's a good day. I got a great night's sleep, and it's wonderful.
Good.
One thing that's
great night's sleep.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Allison's working on sleep. We
Oh.
started coaching together and
Yeah. Well, I still have nights where I don't get enough sleep, but I'm having more nights when I do. And I'm finding that it's the, I wake up to go to the bathroom the first time. It's fine. It's like 1:00 something, it's early. It's the second time I wake up, and I don't know why I wake up that second time, but it's often in the 4 or 5 o'clock hour. But what I have been able to do is examine my thinking, use my IGS, and settle myself. Now, sometimes I don't fall back to sleep, but I am at least not in an agitated state, and I am resting in bed, which actually feels nice. And there's, resting is not the same as sleeping, but it's a lot better than being in a, irritated place. So it's one or the other. And of course, I want to get to the place. And I've been using the Divine Purchase Order approved to get to that.
Good.
And I actually slept until I was asleep by like 9:15, which is early. I'd really like to kind of shift things a little bit later, but right now, just getting enough sleep is enough. And so I woke up at 5, but that's enough sleep,
Good.
So
that's awesome.
The purchase order was
there.
So I'm getting there. Yeah.
Well, you want to mention the purchase order approved, and then we'll go into your coaching, just because I love it when people have successful things.
Yeah.
This is one of the practices in the program, Divine Purchase Order Approved. You want to mention how you're using it?
Well, I am, in advance. Well, initially I was doing this while I was in bed, wanting to get back to sleep. And I ended up discovering that it's more effective to do it before that, before I even go to bed. And I just make a statement that's opening. I want to sleep well tonight. And if I wake up, I am relaxed and calm, and I can either rest or fall back to sleep. And maybe I should shift that and not have the resting aspect. But I want to kind of,
I'll immediately go back to sleep.
Oh.
Yeah. As long as it opens you, because if it doesn't open you, but it's because it's in the opening that the subconscious mind is being reprogrammed in that moment to create that.
Okay. And I immediately go back to sleep. Oh, that's opening. That is opening.
Okay, right on. Then
okay. All right.
That's the approval part. That's the purchase order approved.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay.
And so we're going to do it. Okay, right on. Good.
All right. Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'm glad that's working. So what can I do for you today?
Well, I've been thinking more and more about this goal I've had since 2007 is to write a memoir. And I've spent years at a time working on it, and then years at a time not working on it. Now, I spent years at a time working on it. Well, I had a full-time job and a part-time job. I actually kind of burned myself out, trying to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And my health tanked a bit from that. But I am retired now. I have taken some courses with various memoir teachers, and I'm been learning the craft. But then about a year and a half ago, I was studying with someone, and I just felt like I had enough for then, and I didn't want to proceed. I did have a negative experience. The teacher had invited this woman who worked for a publishing company, and this might be what's got me stuck this time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's look at that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And we were offered, and she came and spoke to us about, her business, and she would talk to people, see if there was a possibility of working together, review manuscripts, this sort of thing. And so everyone in the class had the opportunity for a 30-minute session with her for free to talk about our project. And so memoir is your story. I'm writing about me, about my past, and it's basically a story of healing from my past. And there's many angles. Part of it is it's so big, I haven't been able to narrow it to one theme. But so I was talking to her about my project, with more specifics than that. And she said, you need to make it a how-to book. Those are selling. Memoirs don't really sell that well. And I'm like, I don't know how that would work with my project. She said, at the end of each chapter, you can pull out tips, for the reader. And I'm like, that really breaks up the story. I don't see how that would work. I don't like that idea at all. And I was, more gracious than saying that to her. But, and she asked me at one point, what is the working title you have? And I said, well, the working title is One Thing After Another. And she said, oh, who's going to want to read a book with that title, One Thing After Another? But then, everything that I experience ends up being a healing, but maybe not in the next chapter, but it builds, and it's a really positive story in the end, and kind of shows what's possible to, for anybody, if they're willing to, do what they need to do.
Yep.
But that was so disheartening. And she ended up, agreeing to work with one of the other students in the class who had been a TV anchor at a local, city place, news. And this person had a kind of a story that hooked in with a celebrity who died. And, so there was some of that, and the celebrity thing would pull it in there. And so I'm happy for her that they were going to go forward. But I mean, I don't know any celebrities.
Okay.
I'm not famous.
Let's work on this.
Okay.
No, let's go on.
Yeah.
Okay. All that.
Yeah.
I feel all that.
Yeah.
You feel all that too.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Let's go back and revisit it being a how-to book.
Okay.
Okay. Reason being is when I left being a CEO of the tech company and was teaching this work, I hired a career coach who really tried to push me into doing life coaching. And my knee-jerk reaction is that's a fake profession. Those people don't know anything. They're not even really certified. I had such a visceral negative response to doing any kind of coaching with anyone. I'd already I was doing business consulting, but that somehow seemed legitimate. There's a weird thing that happens is that we get in our mind when we have a knee-jerk reaction, it often is the thing that we should be thinking about doing. And so you had such a reaction to it.
I did.
Right? That I'm curious what the closing was about. So can you just picture being there and on the phone with her? I imagine what room you were in or where you were, or where was it? Yeah. It was on the Zoom? Where was it?
It was on Zoom, and I was sitting right here in my chair in my office.
So
and
go ahead and you can see her. So when she said that, what was your first thought?
Well, I don't want to do that.
And was open, close, or neutral?
Okay.
Open, close, or neutral immediately. I don't want to do that.
It's actually closing.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's crazy how many things, by the way, that you'll be like, I don't want this. And it turns out you're closed. And you're like, wait a minute, I do want this. And you open and you're like, no, I don't. You'll close back down. You're like, I do? Wait a minute. What the heck? Because we have all these things.
What's going on here?
Yeah. We don't even know what we really want. In the Stress to Happiness program, which is we've got the quick start 14-day, and then there's the Stress to Happiness. The whole last part of the program is on just getting clear on what you want, because most people have no idea. They think they know what they want, but that thing doesn't make them happy. It isn't what they want. It got put into their lot long ago. So you have an idea about what this memoir is about and what it's going to do. Okay. So share with me your goals for the memoir, and then we're going to go back to that conversation and play with that, those closings a little bit more.
Okay. Well, I want to show people that despite all the traumas you may have experienced in your life, starting even from birth, from before conscious memory, and past that, you can come to a place of healing and resolution where you're not lost in the past. I mean, I really feel like, well, I love this work that you do. I mean, and I feel like I'm a newbie, you know, but there's so much more. But I've done a lot of healing work, as I've told you, you know, in coaching I've done with you before, that I still need help, you know, and I never really looked at my thinking and changing my thinking in the way, and I'm definitely stuck. So, that you can overcome your past. It's possible.
Yeah. Okay.
And be happy. And
so, yeah. So now let's go to the second thing you started to say about her, which was when she said this could be a how-to book. Memoirs don't really sell. It's true. Memoirs, it's really hard to sell memoir. So if you actually want to make an impact, there's only a certain group of people that read memoirs. And most of the time they read it because they're interested in like a celebrity, right? So, and I'm not downplaying your idea to do a memoir, but it does really sound like you actually want people to come away with not just a good story and understanding the depth of you, but you actually want them to come away with seeing their trauma from a new place. Yeah. See, I believe that trauma is important, and I'm grateful for my trauma. I didn't come down to planet Earth to have it be all rosy. I came here to be able to figure out who I am as a soul and become a better soul, a better existence of an energetic being, right? And it's going to take going through crappy things and having to make good decisions and get through stuff and forgive when I don't want to forgive and all that stuff. And I can't do that without trauma. I can't do that. So there is something there. So I want you to just hold the thought for a minute, and then we'll go to the next thing, that possibly adding some how-to stuff in there won't ruin the story, because that was what it said. It's going to ruin the story. Won't ruin the story, and it'll actually enhance people's capacity to get something out of it, to make change in their own life from it. Open, closed, or neutral. First thought. Now, there's going to be a lot of background thought because you're kind of hooked into this idea of the memoir being what you've already pictured it being. So if there's any background thought, we want to deal with that thought as it comes up. We don't want to get rid of any thought. We want to use the thought you're actually having, because that's where the neural pathways shift.
Well, I'm opening, but I can't believe it.
I know. Yeah, that's okay. We'll give you time to get used to it. Your IGS will lead you to the thing, and then you'll be so excited. Like, look at me. I'm coaching for a living. This is my favorite thing to do in the world. If somebody told me I could never coach again, I would be devastated. Even now, I'm like tearing up at the thought of not being able to coach people ever again. And I can tell you, it was like 6 or 7 coaching sessions from this guy, Jerry, who was wonderful. And he's like, I'm telling you right now, you're supposed to be a coach. And I was like, I'm not. What kind of career person are you? You're trying to talk me into something I don't want to do. And he's like, the fact that you're having this reaction is making my point, girlfriend. You got to get your butt in there and start looking at this thing. You're getting great at it. It's so funny. Oh gosh. And it turned out it is my life's work.
Wow.
So I hear you. I've been there, is my point. And then the second piece was, I've done so much work in writing. When she said that, the next piece that you were kind of coming in with, we just wanted to deal with that first. I don't want to do that, but it was, I've done so much. And what was it that can you remember that next reaction? See her saying that and watch your mind go.
I've already done so much how-to writing, but as a technical writer in the computer industry, technical writer, editor, it's a whole different kind of how-to, but it's how-to manuals, user manuals. And sometimes really
Yeah.
technical manuals, depending on the job. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it's not, if you did a how-to book around your memoir, it wouldn't look like that.
No, it couldn't possibly look like that.
No.
Those kinds of manuals aren't even written anymore. They really need to go back to writing good user manuals, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that whole industry's gone because they change technology so often. We can't keep up. They can't even keep up.
No, you can't. I'd probably get 6 updates to my OS a year or at least.
Yeah. And they can't, you go to figure out what they updated and how to use what they updated, and they haven't even updated their website on how to use the new update. I know, it's awful. I know. I'm not happy with the way technology is going. Coming from, my background was usability. That's the firm we had, was doing usability.
So gosh. Yeah.
Don't get me started. But anyhow,
I can imagine.
It could be absolutely, I want you to just check your IGS as I'm kind of saying this, and then I'm going to have you sit with it and come back and we'll see where you're at. It could be the most playful. It sounds to me like what the closing is around: dry, boring. You want them to be enraptured with your story and not have the story broken by something that's at the end of the chapter that's like breaks them going on to the next part. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So play with everything that you don't like. Just play with the idea of writing, putting some how-to in. What I recommend is, when you run across an idea like this, you're closed. So you want to write out everything that you think about not wanting this thing, because you're in the midst of not wanting it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons. And then all those reasons that close you, you look at those as well. What if I did write a how-to and this thing I don't like, what could it be instead? And what would make it even better than that? It's that, how would I like this to be instead?
Mm-hmm.
And what would make it better than that exercise?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want it to be dry and technical. I don't want it to be boring. I don't want it to be I want it to be playful and fun and something that's easy. What if the way that you inserted it was in the back, so the story stays going, and there was some playful exercise of a way to look at some aspect of their own trauma and transform it with you the way that you did, or what you heard from it, or to look at it through a new lens, right? So where they're applying what you're learning about your story to their own story in a way that gives more freedom and love and grace and forgiveness and presence, instead of being broken and a victim and angry and grief-filled and grievances, right? I don't know. But you did close to the fact that you don't want to do it. So that means your IGS is leading you to the want to. And the want to, anything that you don't want can be transmuted. And you want to make sure when you find the transmutation of how I would like it to be instead, it opens you. But then you might find something that you're so excited. The other piece that I want to mention is you have been nailing at this, hammering at this for years. So there is a missing piece. Yeah. Or it would be done and complete.
I'm open to that.
And so maybe this is it. And you're now ready. I don't know. Go play with it and let us know. You should tell us where your IGS leads you.
I know one thing that with you just talking there, at the end of my career, I was so bored with writing computer manuals, editing computer manuals. For a long time. I was initially very excited. I was a programmer initially, and then I made a transition, and I wanted to be the best technical writer in the world and all this stuff. And but then I ended up staying too long and getting really bored and wanting to leave. And the last 3 years I had insomnia so bad I had to go part-time, and that could have gone out on disability, but I didn't want to do it that way. So that may be an aspect too when I hear the how-to.
Absolutely. Yeah, go explore it, because that was the other piece, was to start a new company. And it was coaching, and then he was recommending me starting another company with this stuff. And I was like, I'm never starting a company again. I'd just gone through laying off 45 employees and the pain of it all. I was never ever wanted another company. And here I am, I'm coaching with a company. He was right. And I was so against it. So go play with it, and we'll see where it takes you. I'm excited to find out where it goes. Okay.
Sounds good.
Right on.
I will.
Okay. And we're going to go on
Thank you.
to, you are welcome, Elena.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Um,
Hi.
um,
Hi.
I didn't know what I signed up for. I'm always signing up for things to improve myself. So thank you, because I it was free, but I still would make a donation. I get paid tomorrow because people's
I'm
time
good.
is very important to me.
Well, Elena, I appreciate that. I feel the same way. I think of money as appreciation, and you want to pay for what you appreciate. But I am doing this for the month of December as a gift. And so think of it as a tithe versus taking up my
Okay.
time. Can you move your camera down so we can see more than just your forehead?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't think I've gotten so many.
You
Yeah,
are. Hi.
yeah, blessings to you. Some
Yeah.
of the young
So,
ones always remind me how old I am. So I'm
yeah,
self-conscious because I'm at
you're
a
beautiful.
place where you're
I love
so
your
kind.
pigtails. You're beautiful.
Oh, you're so healing. I can see your heart. It's very pure. Um, I struggle a lot on this dimension. And
Okay.
I recently, gosh, I work part-time at Winn-Dixie, which is bought out by Aldi's, but they've cut my hours totally. But my journey started, um, I chose a family that would never accept me. Probably, I feel, against the elders that are older than time, and I'm going to listen to them next time. My mother had Munchausen by proxy, and I'm completely convinced she
Oh,
had that.
honey.
So I've spent my entire life healing myself and getting back into the root chakra so I would not pass that on, because I
Okay.
believe it was a learned behavior. So I've made some crazy decisions. I trusted an art teacher who loved to take advantage of his students. So it took me years to be grateful for that, because I went
Hmm.
bankrupt and I never finished my college, to be totally grateful for that experience, because some people have such an easy life because he speaks 11 languages. He's a brilliant
Yeah.
artist. He just steals.
Yeah.
So if my life had not been so traumatic, I might have been him. So that contract is now torn up. I tear it up.
Okay.
He owes me nothing, and we're finished. Blessings to him,
Yeah.
and I am at peace with that. Um,
So
and
hold on,
then,
Elena. I'm going to bring you back down into a focus. I love what you're saying. So part of what I'm hearing and what I love is your forgiveness and your realization that everything happens for a reason and it's perfect. But
yes, well, yes,
hold on. We're
yes.
doing some coaching today. Is there anything currently that's creating fear, mental fear, worry, anxiety, overwhelm currently
But
that I
I,
can support
yeah,
you
I
with?
guess so. I
Let's look
ended
at
up
that.
retiring early, and then
Okay.
Social Security, and then now Social Security says I owe them $5,000, and so um, so I, I don't know how I created that. I should never have retired early. They moved it up to 67, but
So let's stop.
and so
Stop.
yeah,
Stop. Hold on. Stop. We're going to start working on this. Okay. Feel your feet. I want you to get into your body a little bit. I
yeah,
know it's kind of
yeah,
hard, but feel the bottom of your feet and feel your palms of
yeah.
your hands. And we're going to look at a thought and see if it opens you or closes you. I want you to just hold this thought and tell me what happens in the center of your body. I should have never retired early. Do you feel a tightness or do you feel a neutral, no sensation or expansion? Hold the thought, I should have never retired early. What happens?
um, Neutral.
Neutral. Okay, so now there's something else I needed to do. That's why I retired. Just hold that thought. It was important for me to get out of what I was doing so I could do the next thing.
Oh, I understand that
Do you feel
because of
tightness or do you
time.
feel
No,
tight?
I
Yeah.
knew that. No, I just accepted. No, because I that was the best decision that I could make, because I was not aware of how I could market my skills, because I had never been allowed to know that my skills of more towards the spiritual and art related could
Yep.
actually bring me prosperity. So I
Okay,
understood
so hold
that
on.
was the best. Uh-huh.
So here's what I need you to do. I need you to stop saying, I should have never retired early. Listen to
Okay.
me. I want you to listen to me carefully. If you believe that that was a mistake, the new thing can't come.
If I believe that's a mistake, then what did you say? I didn't.
Then the new thing you're here
The
to
new
do
me.
can't come. The new
Oh,
thing
okay.
can't come because you are
Oh,
living
okay.
in a mistake where you are feeling like you should be going, that you should have done something different. And now you've made a failure movement and you haven't. Okay.
Oh, I
And
got, I got that.
so this is the thing I want you to, as I'm talking to you, I want you to notice the center of your body because I'm just going to walk you through it to help us to help it because we're kind of at the end of the show and I want to make sure that we give you opening thoughts and then I'd like you to come back. So
Yes,
listen to
thank
this.
you. So kind. My phone died and I had to get a new phone. That's why I didn't.
That's okay.
So
I'm
thank
gonna walk
you.
you through this and I want you to notice your opening and then I want you to watch this again. Okay. So very often when we're off of our divine blueprint, the life that we're here to live and what we're contribution, because it's really about what contribution we're here to make and how we're able and how we're evolving and making choices towards love. Okay. And so in you retiring and early and then needing to work again, you're being pulled to something new. And I have a good intuitive gut feeling that it's about helping people forgive things that are unforgivable on a spiritual and a dynamic level. And the $5,000 from the Social Security means that you have to find a way to work. And you can pay them a tiny, right? You have to. It's going to keep pushing you, Alana. It's going to keep
It is.
pushing you until it forces you to get your butt in gear and start doing what you're here to do.
Oh, yeah. Because you're
So
amazing.
So you can pay the IRS $20 a month as long as you're making payments until you figure it out. Really, just you can pay them if you can pay
Oh,
$100
well,
a month, whatever it is.
well,
You can just make small payments because as soon as you make a small payment, it really does make a difference with them because you're trying. Trust me,
well,
I've
the
had the
IRS.
situation.
Well, I wrote a book and I dedicate to IRS. I like to make copies and give people. I dedicated to the gratuitous nature of the IRS because they made me pay back $1,000. This is Social Security, but I turned that around, and the book is "I Am Wealthy, Wise, and Wonderful." Because if you repeat something long enough, you believe it, and that's the only way I could get through that experience. So I tied
Yes.
back to the IRS. That's how I
I like
called it.
that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I want to. So when I get money ahead, I want to give everybody a copy. I don't know how to do that because
Well, first, hold on. What I
yeah.
want you to do, I want you to sit down and I want you to write out if you could do not to, I'm going to leave you with homework and then I'll have you come back. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Write out if you had no limitations, what would be the one thing that you would like to participate in having people transform in their lives and be very detailed
Okay.
and just make sure that it creates an opening in your body because we want to find out what it is that you're here to do so that I can help you with practical steps using the opening of your IGS to make it happen.
Oh, that's fine. Do you know the only day they got me working is tomorrow, and you have the event tomorrow? Isn't that ironic? The only day
No,
Winn-Dixie has me working because you're on tomorrow.
I'm on tomorrow. I'm on Thursday. I'm on Friday. I'm on
Oh, okay.
Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday again.
Okay. Because
Okay.
yeah.
So you got your homework. What's your homework?
I'm going to write in detail, if I had no limitations, what I would want to do to help people get to a higher place of consciousness and to a place of total forgiveness. But
Yep.
I didn't have it
And then
totally what
that's
you
it.
said.
That's good. Nope, that's good. You got enough. That was beautiful. And then what that would look like. That's your homework, okay, baby? And then come back on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, whenever, and read it to me, and we're going to take the next step, okay, love?
Oh, thank you. You're so incredible. Thank you for this gift. I really appreciate it because I was going through a hard time. Yes.
Let's fix that.
Yes.
Together
Yes,
with
we
your
are.
IGS. Okay.
And you're doing an incredible. This is the first time I've actually gone into coaching, so this is wonderful. Usually, I just try to listen to spirit. So spirit guided me to listen to you.
Good.
Because
well, I'm glad you're here, baby.
I think I'm from another planet, so I really appreciate your coaching. I wish I'd read the fine print.
That's okay. Yeah, right. I have had those feelings myself many times in life. The fine print would have
We
been
must
nice,
be from
although
the same.
I might not have come if I had read the fine print.
Oh, really? Like I said, we must be from the same galaxy.
There we
'Cause
go.
our pastor, yeah, that's wonderful. So then you are the perfect coach for me.
All right.
Yes, because
Okay,
I
honey.
need
Well, then I'll
someone to
see you.
know.
Yeah. Yep.
I need
I'm
someone that
listening.
is aware of our space brothers because they're here for love. People have
I hear
such an
you.
erroneous idea. So this is perfect. They must have arranged it.
Well, let's figure out. Let's stick with the practical grounded of Earth for now,
Yes, I
because
like
once
that.
and then we can work on all that conversation after we get you financially free and giving your gifts. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I will see you probably Thursday
Sounds good,
early.
sweetie.
Blessings
Okay.
be upon you.
You
Unlimited
too.
blessings.
You
Thank you,
too,
my friend.
Alana.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, that's our end of our show. I will be back tomorrow at 11:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All times are in Pacific. If you go to YouTube, because we have people listening on all kinds of different platforms, if you go to YouTube, Fear Free Human, it's at Fear Free Human, you see all the upcoming shows so that you can actually plan them in your calendar. If you're on my email list, you actually get, I'm doing weekly. I've been doing daily, but I'm doing a weekly of the whole every show, and then I'm giving a reminder. I'm playing with different times, but I'm thinking 30 minutes before the show. But if you click notify me on YouTube, it will also send you an email when I go live. And subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost to 200, and it's only been 2 weeks. I'm super excited about that. I love you guys. Go to fearfreehuman.com if you want to be able to get on my email list. Right at the very top, you can put in your name and your email, and you'll also get the Zen in a Moments, which are mini teachings on the internal guidance system. I am sending you love and blessings. Merry Christmas this week. I'll see you tomorrow on Christmas Eve. Goodbye for now, everybody.